Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Finn sat alone in the dimly lit living room of the Forrester mansion, the only source of light being the dwindling embers in the fireplace and the blue glow from his phone. For once, the home was extremely quiet. Everyone had scattered following the most recent family gathering, which had, inevitably, ended in slammed doors and unshed tears. He glanced through old images, some of which he hadn't looked at in months or perhaps years. There was Brooke on her wedding day to Ridge, glowing and promising forever. Brooke was holding RJ. The day he was born, his eyes were filled with a mother's love. Then there was the one that took his breath away. Brooke and Bill Spencer, arms wrapped around each other on the Stella Maris, laughing like no one else existed. He had always known on some level. Growing up in the Forrester-Logan whirlwind requires acquiring a sixth feel for secrets. Knowing and having proof were not the same thing. The proof had arrived 2 hours ago in the shape of an anonymous email with a blank subject line and a single high-resolution image of a document he never expected to see again, a paternity test from 17 years ago, which Hope had requested the lab to destroy. The one that showed beyond all doubt that Deacon Sharp was not Hope's biological father. Bill Spencer was. Finn's palm trembled as he focused on the percentages. 99.9998%. The same statistics that had previously flipped Brooke Logan's world upside down, and, by extension, every life that revolved around her. He should erase it. He should pretend he has never seen it. That was the reasonable, safe option. But the sight of Bridget's face when she questioned him directly 6 months ago whether he felt her mother was hiding anything more stuck with him. And then there was Steffi, his wife, who still bore wounds from the previous time Brooke's falsehoods rained down on the family like shrapnel. He heard the front door open and close quietly. Footsteps. Lightweight, deliberate.
Brooke. Finn.
Her voice came in from the foyer, warm and careful. I spotted your car outside. Is everything okay with the kids? He closed the photo, secured the phone, and slid it into his pocket just as she stepped at the doorway, still dressed in the emerald silk blouse and pencil skirt she'd worn to work, her hair flawless despite the day's events. Hey, he said, faking a smile that felt artificial. The kids are with Amelia tonight. Brooke crossed the room, heels clicking lightly on the hardwood, and sat on the arm of the sofa opposite him. Or distance from what Ridge and Thomas were arguing about upstairs? Both, he acknowledged. She watched him for a moment, as only Brooke Logan could, as if she were gazing straight through to bone. You seem tense. Finn laughed beneath his breath, a sound devoid of amusement. Brooke inclined her head, saying, You could say that. Do you want to talk about it?
He paused.
There were 100 ways things could go wrong, 1,000 ways it could break everything once more. But he thought of Hope, who still regarded Bill Spencer as a hero on bad days and a monster on awful ones. He thought of Steffi, who would never forgive him if she discovered he had concealed this from her. He remembered Ridge, who'd spent decades bouncing between two women because one of them was constantly rewriting history to fit the narrative she required that week. I got something today, he finally remarked, lowering his voice. This is an email. Anonymous. I believe you should see it. Brooke's finely arched brows came together. Finn unlocked his phone, accessed the photograph, and turned the screen to face her. The color drained from her face so quickly that he believed she may pass out. Her lips parted, but no sound emerged. She went for her phone with shaky fingers, zooming in and scrolling as if a closer look might change the statistics. Where did you get this? She whispered. Does it matter? It is very important. Her voice cracked like thin ice. Finn, it was supposed to be eliminated. Hope caused them to destroy every duplicate. Apparently, someone kept one. Brooke closed her eyes and pushed a manicured hand to her mouth. If Ridge sees this, he's going to, Finn murmured, startling himself with his calm tone. He deserved to know the truth, Brooke. All of it. No more modified versions. When she opened her eyes, Brooke Logan appeared little for the first time in all the years he had known her. You don't understand what this will do. I know exactly what it will do. It will hurt. It will infuriate. It's possible that things will end again. But what about secrets like this? They do not stay buried. They rot. Brooke stood hurriedly, adjusting her skirt with shaky hands. I need to talk to Hope first. No, Finn responded, also rising. Hope has had 17 years to come clean. This ends tonight. You aren't family, Finn. I am married to Steffi Forrester. I'm parenting Forrester children. That makes me family enough. He took a step closer and lowered his voice. And I'm tired of seeing my wife become collateral damage every time you decide which parts of your past are convenient. Brooke flinched, as if he'd smacked her. That's not fair. All of this is unfair. Not to Ridge, Hope, or Bridget. And certainly not to Bill, who has spent almost 2 decades believing he has a daughter he will never get to raise because you were afraid of losing Ridge. Her eyes welled up with tears, but they did not fall. Brooke Logan avoided crying in public if at all possible. She saved it for private breakdowns in expensive bathrooms. I was protecting my family, she explained. You were protecting yourself. The silence between them was dense and menacing. The front door opened again, louder this time. Ridge and Steffi were arguing about something that sounded like fabric swatches, but was most likely a proxy for every unresolved wound they carried. Brooke's eyes darted to the foyer, panic rising. Finn did not move. They're coming in here. You can tell them or I will. Finn, please. 5 seconds, Brooke. She closed her eyes again, took a breath that seemed to rock her entire body, and when she opened them, the tears had been wiped away. The mask was back in place, but it was shattered and spiderwebbed with shame. Ridge walked in first, loosening his tie, with Steffi close following him. They both came to a halt as they noticed Brooke and Finn standing there, like opposing chess pieces. What is going on? Ridge inquired, acutely aware of the tension in the room. Steffi's gaze shifted between her husband and Brooke, narrowing. Finn? Finn gazed at Brooke one last time. She pleaded with a tiny shake of her head. He ignored it. Ridge, he added, there's something you need to know about Hope's paternity. Steffi went silent. Ridge's face became quite still. Brooke produced a small, broken sound. Finn held up his phone. It is not, Deacon. It never was. Ridge looked at the screen Finn had extended to him. For a long time, no one breathed. Ridge then took the phone gingerly, as if it would burn him. He read. His jaw tensed, then loosened. The muscle in his cheek jerked, as if he were fighting back a tidal wave. When he finally spoke, his tone was deceptively calm. Brooke. She could not look at him. Ridge, I can explain. What? The word crackled like a gunshot. He threw the phone onto the coffee table, and it clattered, the screen still glowing with the damning statistics. Explain how you looked me in the eyes every day for 17 years and led me to believe Hope was Deacon Sharp's daughter? How could you let me raise, cherish, and call her my own while knowing she was Bill Spencer's? I was about to tell you. When? He roared and the sound echoed off the walls. Steffi took an instinctive step backward. When did she turn 18? 30? Am I on my deathbed? When, Brooke? I got afraid. Brooke cried, her emotions finally spilling over. You were already pulling back because of Taylor, Thomas, and everything. What would you have done if you knew Bill was her father? Did I leave you sooner? Have I saved myself decades of this never-ending cycle? Ridge chuckled in a rough, hurt tone. Do you think I didn't know you slept with Bill? You think I'm so stupid? I forgave it because I assumed the baby was Deacon's, and I believed we could move on. But this? You did not simply lie to me, Brooke. You lied to Hope. You took her father from her. I didn't steal anything, Brooke yelled back, her voice breaking. Bill didn't want. Don't you dare finish that sentence, Ridge snapped. Bill has been trying to be a father to that girl since she was born, but you have blocked him every chance you have because you are humiliated. You are ashamed of what we all knew. You couldn't keep your legs closed around Bill Spencer. Steffi gasped. Finn stretched for her hand. Brooke recoiled, like if Ridge had hit her. That's not true, is it? Ridge's eyes flashed. Brooke, how many times? How many times have you vowed it was the last time, that you were over him, that you had chosen me, only to return the moment my back was turned? Brooke whispered, "Stop it." "No, I am done stopping. I'm done pretending everything is normal. I'm done letting you alter history whenever it's inconvenient." He turned to Finn, his voice quivering with barely restrained rage. "Thank you for exposing me the truth. At least someone in this home still has a spine." "Dad," Steffi murmured softly, "maybe we should—" "No," Ridge interrupted her. "No more, maybe. No more allowing her tears to purchase another opportunity." Ridge gazed at Brooke, and for the first time in all the years Finn had observed their epic love, his eyes were devoid of longing. Only fatigue. And disgust. "I want you out," he stated calmly. Brooke's knees buckled. She caught herself on the sofa's back. "Ridge, please. This is my home. No longer." "You don't mean that." "Try me." His voice was steel. "Pack a bag. Tonight. I'll have Carter draft the papers in the morning. We're finished, Brooke. For good this time." Brooke looked desperately at Steffi and Finn, hoping for an ally but finding none. Steffi's eyes were harsh. "You should have told us," she replied simply. "All of us." Brooke opened her mouth, then closed it again. Then, with what little dignity she had left, she straightened her shoulders and exited the room without saying anything. Her heels made no sound on the runner this time. Ridge stood there for a long time, staring at the fireplace as if it may give him answers. Then he picked up the phone from the table, looked at the paternity test once more, and threw it into the fire. The screen cracked. The image burned. Steffi walked to her father's side and slipped her arm in his. Finn watched as the paper curled and blackened, and the numerals vanished forever. But this time, everyone had noticed them. An upstairs door banged. Then another. The sound of a luggage being dragged from its closet. The distinct click of a lady gathering the pieces of a life she had spent decades constructing on shifting sand. Ridge closed his eyes. "It's really over," he muttered, as if speaking it aloud would finally make it so. Finn placed a hand on his father-in-law's shoulder. "Sometimes things have to break completely before they can heal right." Ridge nodded once, a man with 30 years of almosts and what-ifs on the slope of his shoulders. The final particle of the lie was reduced to ash in the fireplace. Outside, Brooke Logan stood on the front steps of the only home her children had ever known, clutching a single Louis Vuitton overnight bag, tears pouring silently onto the Bel Air pavement that had seen 1,000 of her storms, but never once provided shelter. For the first time in her life, Brooke Logan had no one to turn to. And somewhere across town, Bill Spencer's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. A single image, 17 years old, had finally been released. The explosion had hardly just started. The tension within the Forrester estate was building long before anyone realized it was going to explode. What began as unsettling rumors among family members quickly escalated into one of Ridge Forrester's most explosive encounters. And at the heart of it all, far more than anyone expected, was John Finn Finnegan, a guy noted for his calm and controlled attitude. But on this particular day, Finn held a truth so heavy and combustible that disclosing it threatened to break decades-long connections. Finn had spent the most of the afternoon pacing inside his hospital office, rehashing every event that had brought him to this point. Usually, his instincts guided him confidently. Today, those instincts continued to battle each other, a tug-of-war between devotion to his wife, Steffi, and commitment to the truth. He'd discovered something Brooke Logan had done, and he knew telling Ridge would set off a firestorm. However, hiding it was not an option. Not anymore. It all began innocently. Finn was studying patient logs when he came across a familiar name that shouldn't have featured there. At first, he thought he had misunderstood it. But the moment he opened the file, everything changed. Brooke Logan. The information on the classified file made his heart race in his ears. It was not medical information, at least not in the conventional sense. Instead, it was a report prompted by a legal disclosure requirement related to an incident in which Finn had no knowledge Brooke had been engaged. The more he read, the more obvious it seemed that Brooke had lied. Not simply omitted something.
Lied.
Ridge would bear the brunt of the fallout from that deception. He kept reminding himself that Brooke was tricky and that the Logans had a history of negotiating difficult situations in unusual ways. But this was different. This was not a misunderstanding. It was not a moment of weakness she could blame on stress or sadness. Finn couldn't overlook the secrecy and willful decision to keep something from Ridge. Still, he paused. Brooke had gone through so much. Ridge had forgiven her numerous times, and each time, she claimed to have changed. Maybe she had. Maybe this was a mistake that she genuinely regretted and wished to forget. But that does not change the fact that Ridge deserved to know. He deserved honesty as a husband, partner, and someone who had fought valiantly to be by her side through scandals, fights with addiction, affairs, and betrayal. And Brooke had not given him that. Finn paced, rubbing a palm over his face, wondering what Steffi would say once she found out what he had uncovered. He knew she would not be startled. Steffi had long warned that Brooke caused havoc wherever she went, that she drew Ridge into a never-ending cycle of drama. Steffi's disdain of Brooke had always hung over the family, causing continual tension between the Forrestos and the Logans. But even Steffi would not have predicted this. Finally, Finn closed his laptop and breathed. Ridge wanted to hear the truth from someone who was unaffected by past or animosity. And if it has to be him, so be it. Meanwhile, across town, Brooke Logan sat at her vanity table, quivering as she smoothed the golden waves in her hair. She had known for days that something was wrong, very wrong. There had been whispers in the house, and she couldn't comprehend the expressions shared by family members. And Ridge, dear, gentle, loving Ridge, had appeared distant. She reviewed the previous week in her head. Had she slipped? Had she shown something? She had been so meticulous, so determined to keep this one mistake hidden forever. She had convinced herself that nobody would find out. After all, she had handled things promptly and quietly, ensuring that the situation never spiraled out of control. What purpose would confessing have served? It would only have resulted in anguish. She wanted to shield Ridge in order to spare him from another disappointment. But Brooke knew deep down that she couldn't keep the truth buried forever. Secrets had a habit of clawing to the surface and demanding oxygen. And this one had finally made its way into the open. She closed her eyes and pushed her palms together, attempting to will away the dread that was building in her stomach. If Ridge found out, if he discovered what she had hidden, he would be devastated. He had given her another chance and believed in her despite everyone's concerns. He'd picked her, and she had betrayed that choice oftentimes throughout their tangled history. Brooke feared that this would be the final attack. Ridge Forrester, on the other hand, seemed blissfully unaware of the impending storm. He was in Forrester Creations' design office, inspecting designs for the next couture line. He felt at ease working amid his fabrics and designs, surrounded by the heritage he had spent his life creating. Fashion kept him grounded. Unlike the turmoil outside the sewing rooms, the world of design was structured, intentional, and clear, qualities that his personal life lacked. But even as he labored, he realized something was wrong. Something simmered beneath the surface, ready to detonate. His instincts were rarely wrong, especially when it came to the people he cared about. Donna Logan marched into his office, folding her arms and studying him. "You're distracted," she explained gently. Ridge looked up, giving a half-smile. "Just focus." Donna interrupted the new sentence with a quiet Ridge. "It's not about the line. You've been unsettled for several days. And I know you're trying to pretend everything is all right, but you're not fooling anyone." He groaned deeply and set down his pencil.
"I do not know, Donna.
Something feels weird. With Brooke. With everything." He shook his head. "I want to trust her. I want to believe that this time is different." Donna's face darkened with concern. "Did something happen?" Ridge hesitated. "Not that she has told me. But I've been married to Brooke long enough to know when she isn't saying something." Donna stepped closer, her voice soft. "She loves you, more than anything." "I know," Ridge replied quietly. "But love isn't always enough." Ridge's phone rang before Donna could respond. When he looked at the screen and saw Finn's name, unease ran down his spine. He answered.
"Finn."
Is everything okay? Ridge, Finn replied, his voice devoid of its usual calm. I need to see you.
Now.
It's significant. Ridge frowned.
About what?
It's about Brooke. Donna's eyes widened, and Ridge stiffened. Finn, if something happened to Brooke, she's fine, Finn interrupted hastily. But there's something you should know. Something she hasn't told you. Ridge tightened his grip on the phone. I'll be right there. When Ridge arrived at Finn's office, the doctor was already standing, stress oozing from him. Ridge did not bother with small conversation. What's this about? He demanded. Finn gestured toward the chair. You might want to sit down. I'll stand. Finn took a slow breath to stabilize himself. I found something. Something Brooke did not reveal. Ridge's heart rate increased as he braced himself. What did she do? Finn gave him a printed document. This is part of a mandated incident report submitted last week. It involves Brooke. Ridge scanned the paper, his eyes widening. Each sentence felt like a blow, each detail a betrayal he hadn't expected. She lied? He whispered. She told me none of this happened. She didn't just lie, Finn remarked gently. She made sure you wouldn't find out. Ridge felt his knees weaken and wrath rise in his chest.
Why?
Why would she try this again? Finn's expression was sympathetic yet unwavering. Because she was afraid. And because she didn't want to hurt you. Ridge slapped the paper against the desk. She hurt me much more by lying. He stormed out before Finn could finish speaking. Back at the mansion, Brooke paced nervously through the living room. She had texted Ridge twice. No response. Her nerves were raw, her mind were racing. When the front door flew open, she swung around. Ridge stood in the doorway, his eyes flaming with fury. Ridge? Brooke whispered. What's wrong? He held out the document Finn had handed him. You tell me. Her breath caught. Her face had lost its color. I can explain. Explain? Ridge thundered. Can you explain how you lied to me again? How did you hide something so serious? Why, Brooke? Why did you believe you could keep this from me? Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't want to lose you.